okay? I just wanted to share with everybody before we kind of move over. Everyone keeps asking about the due diligence checklist, which is kind of has grown and grown and grown and grown. And at this point, this is actually not the updated one, so I'll have to get you guys a copy of this, but this is 23 pages long. I mean, everything that Nicole has experienced over time, and it's broken down into a bunch of different sections in terms of, okay, check this, check this, check this. Oh, wait a minute, something happened here. What's the result? Do we walk away? Do we stay? Every little thing. I mean, this is 25 years worth of experience. And everyone raves about this thing, but I just wanted to share it with you too, because I think now it's kind of an urban myth, so it really does exist. And not that you're going to go through all 25 pages or 23 pages. Some of the stuff is from mobile home parks. Some of the stuff is more relevant to apartment buildings, but it does exist for anybody out there that had questions on that. So, all right. So next, I'm going to stop sharing here. All right, so next is actually the residential side with our partners, Jane and Sharon, who are experts in this field. They've been doing single family investing since 2016, have done considerably over 100 deals in a bunch of different states. I think they're pushing up against Nicole here. Are you in 11 states or 10 states? How many states you in?
I think 11.
11? All right, so had tremendous success. And what ended up happening is we had some really good feedback on the passive cash flow for life, the multifamily program. And people started coming to us and saying, wow, you guys did really well with that. Have you ever thought about trying to help people with single family? And I did single family before I started doing this. I did a bunch of rehabs and stuff like that. Nicole also started in single family. She still does a little bit of single family. And our thought process was, well, we know a lot about it, but we also want to expand the opportunity with other people that have different strategies in the field. So we got together about 15 full-time, very successful investors and put them all under one banner, which is called the Virtual REI Academy. And the goal was twofold. One is to educate a lot of the first-time investors in single family about some different things you can do to be successful. The other option was, or the other goal was, for a lot of people that have already been successful in single family, a lot of times they have one or two strategies and that's it. They're okay, I'm either going to rehab this or I'm going to wholesale it, right? Sometimes maybe I'll keep it or whatever it may be. The idea, though, is there's probably 13, 14, 15 different strategies out there that people are not aware of, that you can look at a deal and go, okay, whereas before I would have walked away because I couldn't do a rehab, I can't get 65% or whatever it is, or I can't get a big enough spread on wholesale. Now you've got all these strategies and go, something, with this one deal, I've got 7 options here. I don't have to walk away from this deal. So it's turned out really well. People seem to enjoy it very much. There's about is it 45 or 55? I haven't looked in a little bit. There's a lot of classes and they're updated all the time. And I get, like I said, 15 different instructors. So Jane and Sharon are kind of taking the lead on that. And I would just like to tell you how much I enjoy working with both Jane and Sharon. They're phenomenal people, very relationship based. They might bring that up once or twice during the talk, but they're just phenomenal. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, James. It's an honor working with you and Nicole. We've been learning so much on the multifamily side, and ideas that we can carry over to the single family, just like we were talking about earlier. She was saying that you can marry it, the single family, with the numbers and the dividends. So I'm going to share the screen. We have a PowerPoint presentation. We started a couple weeks ago on talking about our most current rehab, fix and flip, and we're going to continue on that journey. It is this one. Okay.
And the reason we're doing this is just trying to, because sometimes you get ahead of yourself, and now, because it's, we've done it so many times, you kind of forget the small steps. So, for newer folks, it just becomes, once you get going, you'll just do the same steps over and over. But, sometimes it's actually good for us to go back so we don't miss anything. But, it's just kind of a step by step on what you would do and how this remote rehab is going.
And just a a reminder, brush people up. It's 608 East Ridge Road in Gary, Indiana. Indiana is one of the 11 states that we currently invest in. Out of the 11 states, 6 of them is where we invest the most in and have the highest concentration. This particular one, it's a nice block house with a detached garage. And we were, the contract was for $45,000 plus closing costs. He wanted he wanted us to close early, and he gave us a discount for closing early, $42,500. And then he also offered this, we negotiated to split the closing costs if we closed in 3 weeks or less.
And again, that became relationship based if we could do something quickly. So, we're looking at a big discount plus closing costs in Indiana. That's a pretty big deal. And he actually, he also let us use our closing company, which a lot of people, when they're selling, they don't. So not only did we get a little bit of a discount, which goes a little farther, we got split the closing costs, and we got to use our people, so they like us when we keep coming back. So,
and I tell you, it's hard to find a good title company. So or title attorney. So it's nice to be able to use yours. And there's the times where a lot of issues have happened during the close is when we weren't able to use our closing company that we're comfortable with, that's comfortable with doing our creative financing and strategies. So
and that one hit a little closer to home with just the are we on the closing later? I'll bring it up.
Okay, bring it up later. Okay, I think we introduced you to him. Maybe we will get him on a call. He would be great on the call. This is Javier. He has been our guy in Indiana from, when did we meet him? 2020. Okay, I was gonna say 2020. He's a phenomenal guy. And he is actually the one who found this house for us. He talked to that investor, reached out to him. He was considering purchasing the house himself as like a second home because he does a lot of work in Gary, and they live about 45 minutes away, and his wife works in the company with him. So they were going to just get the second house, and other finances and things came up that wasn't possible. So then he asked us if we wanted to flip it, because it would make a really good quick flip and put back on the market and make a good amount of money. We started out with a scope of work. Usually we use our own scope of work, but with Javier, we use his because we've been working with him so long. And at the beginning, we were using our scope of work plus his and bringing them together. But our scopes are very similar and close. So we just, we use his scope of work. I kind of cut it and pasted it on here. That's his company name, Greenway Services. You can see he gives us very good prices. His whole labor and materials budget is $32,790. And we always have them give us a start date and end date, and he adds the extra week to it. We a lot of times add 2 to 3 weeks to the end date and then lock them into it. We'll if it's especially new contractors we haven't worked with, we'll lock them into a date. We'll give them 2 to 3 extra weeks added to that date. And if they're behind and there's no good reason for it, such as waiting for materials or permits or some issue, then we'll charge them $50 a day for every day over the agreed upon end date. And there's been times also that we wanted the work finished more quickly than the due date. So we actually give them extra money, bonuses for each week that they close or that they finish early. So it could go either direction. And he has a draw schedule every week. Typically, we'll do 4 draws. We'll do a draw at the beginning, a draw in the middle, and then a draw at the end. But at the end, we hold 10% back until we walk through the house and do the punch list items and make sure everything's in place. And then we release that 10%. But on this one, he wanted to do weekly, which is fine. We work with him. So, but technically we usually do the 4
And
draws.
it's gonna be done so much quicker. So as you
Yes.
can see, it's a quick rehab.
And he's, starting out with, the demo and the paint doors and trim and baseboards and, patch and paint and that sort, the sort of thing, batteries, this and that. And he gets into he likes to use the smart keys with the, front and, back door, especially since an exit strategy we have on this one is a rental. And he does our rentals and he's unusual because a lot of times we have contractors that are just doing the market flips, that they do higher end rehabs and they put the bells and whistles on there and make it nice for market rents. And then we also have contractors that are pretty good at the rental, to do the rental rehabs and flips. But he does it all. We can't say enough about Javier. He's a unicorn. So you can see it's just the normal, putting the waterproof flooring in, the luxury vinyl waterproof floor. All the windows unfortunately needed to be repaired. I mean, you can see it's a big list for the price he's quoting us. And he's pretty good with his numbers. When he gives us a quote, he's pretty on point with it.
We've had very few change orders with him.
And a little bit of piping and plumbing, not anything huge. Washer hookup, very minimum with the pipes and the plumbing, which, the plumbing and the electric's in pretty good shape on this one. Little bit of cables missing, nothing, no big deal. Furnace ductwork, the kitchen, demo existing tile and install 1/2-inch drywall. And you want to make sure that you see the materials list when you have the contractor. You don't want them to skimp out. You want the decent, you don't want the 1/4-inch drywall. You want at least a 1/2-inch drywall. So the details matter. And when you are getting quotes, when you first start out, you want to get a quote from 3 different contractors. Make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. What you're looking at the materials list to make sure that the materials are the same quality across the board when you're looking and deciding which contractor that you're going to take. Double sink, a lot of homeowners like that double sink. The faucet supply, the can lights, the basic stuff. And sorry, this slide's a little bit smaller that I'll fit on. As you can see, all the patching in the ceiling, in the walls and the smoothing throughout with the drywall, cabinets. Let me see.
And just with some of this, take note how it's, prime and paint and, so it's not just like a lot of contractors will just come in and say, hey, we're going to paint the walls, but they don't get specific. Like you really want to get specific and nailed down. Ask us how we know, but that's for you and the contractor, because we've also seen investors who will, expect them to do things, but they don't put it on the scope of work, and then they nickel and dime them, and then they get mad at them, and it's a bad relationship. So if you want, 4 can lights, then put 4 can lights. If you, just don't put can lights, or put, a fan, a ceiling fan, but you really wanted a ceiling fan with a light. I mean, that makes a difference. It's cost. And then some people yell at the contractor, well, of course you should have knew it was the light in there. Well, they don't know that. Be specific.
They're not mind readers.
Be specific and don't nickel and dime your contractors.
That's a great point. And that's, it goes, like she said, it goes both ways. We've seen investors take advantage of contractors when they didn't put it on their scope of work, and little things add up, like the switch plates and all. They expect the contractors to foot the bill on all the switch plates, and that little things do add up. And level out the kitchen floor a little bit. All the smoke detectors, make everything compliant. Base of the quarter molding, toilet, kitchens and bathrooms sell, so you want the kitchens and bathrooms to pop. Surround tub, vanity, new vanity with fixtures. Let me see, sink, And let's see the next page. I'll go through this.
True, this is a lot. We're getting all.
I
this
know
information.
it's all this. You can see,
Cool.
yeah, you can, I mean, this is not Florida prices. Florida prices that were.
Or probably Maryland. price.
Yeah, no, Maryland and Florida are higher prices. Places like Georgia and Indiana, you get a lot more bang for your buck with the rehabs. But plus he gives us good prices. We've been working with him for so long. Plus we joint venture with him on projects. And he has a warehouse where he's able to buy his materials at cost, and then he stores extras in the warehouse. So then we get the better pricing. Smoke detectors, bathrooms. He's actually adding another bedroom to make it a 4-bedroom instead of a 3. And there's in the basement there was partially finished bathroom, so it's going to be an extra bathroom added, and that's just going to raise the ARV on this house.
I just realized that you guys have, because I was wondering about it, but I guess you guys have this broken down by every room. Like I see basement bedroom, back
Mhm.
right bedroom, back hallway, stuff like that. I didn't realize that when you were starting doing this.
We've done that from the beginning, and he always have done that from the beginning with his scope of work. So that's why we just use his, because they mirror each other. We like to break it down into room, and we'll do the outside scope of work, the inside scope of work, that sort of thing. So you're right that we do that.
And I think that's what makes Javier such a good contractor. He's like one of the few that I've seen is on top of his paperwork. So like we've worked with a lot of people that, they're like, I'll invoice you, I'll send you the bill. And then you get like, you have to practically hunt them down to get it, or they forget about it. And then, if you got a lot of projects going on, that's not really my job to hunt them down to say, hey, I owe you money. You know what I mean? So it's like he's very on top of once he does. And I think that's what makes him a good contractor, where he can keep his prices down, because not only does he have supplies, but he's on top of the paperwork. So his money's always coming in. He's not hunting it.
And here's the exterior. He has the exterior broken down from the interior. The overgrown vines and weeds, install a new gutter, the paint, the trim, mulch, gardening, because that makes a difference too. When somebody drives up on the property, you want it to, nice, mulch and some greenery there, nice mown, manicured lawn. That and it makes a difference. It pops nice. Paint the trim and the frames white to stand out and make it look nice and clean and neat. Oops, that is the end of it. Okay. And then thought I had. Oh, okay. Doors, and that's for the door and the power and the openers. That is for the garage. So he didn't add anything on the scope of work for the garage. And I was like, well, Javier, the garage needs a little bit of attention. And he said, well, if it's just little things, I'll just throw that in. That's no big deal. So I'm like, well, you got to get paid for your work. You're not doing this for free. So I'm sure we're going to throw in extra bonus for him, because, we try to throw in a bonus or help him out with things on his end when he needs help. So we don't want to take advantage of him. We've seen so many, like I said before, people take advantage of contractors, and it is a two-way street. You take care of the contractors, they take care of you. They're happy with you. There is a lot of contractors that will walk, they start out really good, and then they get tired of the business, or they're, get too busy. And then if you're not one of the priority, you don't treat them like a priority, then they're not going to treat you like a priority when they get busier. He always, when he gets busy, like right now, he's super busy with other contracts that he has, and he prioritized us because we've worked with him from the beginning and helped him out. So like James said, relationships, like he knew we were going to mention it. Relationships do make a difference. So you see how thorough the scope of work is. And this one, there's other scopes, like Jane said, that we're even more thorough. What's sheen of paint, color of paint, how many coats, everything. So you do have to be very particular with the scope of work. And this one is
Then you have something on
that was after this one, because the earnest money is
this was just a little glitch. We were out of the country and or at least out of the state, so we weren't somewhere where we couldn't like kind of get to the bank. we had to get the EMD in, and again, relationship based. You know, it was like they gave us a little leeway to kind of get that in, and that was just us talking to the seller and just kind of explaining what was going on, and then you know, we were able to get the earnest money in, like we had a deadline, and you know, he obviously believed in us that we weren't just like jerking him around trying to get extra money or wholesale it or do something else. So that ended up working out okay for us.
And we worked out so well with him with this house. We closed early. We did what we said we were going to do, where he is an investor and he has more houses. He's not ready to sell them quite yet, but when he's ready to sell some more houses in his portfolio, he'll either reach out to Javier or us first. Will be priority now that we worked well with him, and, you know, or did what we said we were going to do and was honorable with it. And then the contract, like I said, we did receive the discount. We did close early and receive that discount. And we negotiated the seller to pay half the closing costs. One of the reasons why he was paying half the closing costs is because he has a regular attorney that he wanted to pay to go through and look at the paperwork after the title company attorney looked at it. And always remember to get title insurance the day that you close, or even the day before you close, to make sure you have that title insurance in place. I'm sorry, not title insurance. That's that's one of the different side. I'm sorry. Title insurance. We always get title insurance on all of our closings, no matter what. We just always did that from the very beginning. We know a lot of other investors that cut corners and save money, and most of the time you don't need it, but that one time that you do need it, it'll be well worth it. It doesn't cost that much.
It happens though.
And we actually in Florida, we negotiated down the price of the title insurance, so we get a discount for the title insurance. I can't remember exactly what it is now, but it's less. It was like they gave us a third off.
It's minimal to sleep well at night.
Yes. So total closing cost for us was $43,110, and I'm going to try to pull up that. Do I have to share the screen again?
No, you still sure.
I know, but I don't know how to.
I think we're trying to pull up. I think
Do I have to stop sharing and then share again to pull up the HUD one?
So it depends. So when you
It's
actually
not in
do
the
the first
PowerPoint.
time, if you just shared desktop, then whatever you pop up will do it. But if you share just one specific screen, like the PowerPoint, then yes, you
Okay.
have to back out and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always stop sharing the slides and then go to my desktop, find the other one, click on it, and then share screen again.
Okay. This is it. And then
Oh, yeah, shoot. It's that one. Yeah.
okay.
In year 2, we'll have this down pat.
That one away.
There it is.
Oh, I need my glasses again. I need my glasses. Okay, here we go. Here's the HUD one. In Indiana, when we do closings in Indiana, we have Indiana Title Network Company. They're the ones that work great with us. And Jennifer Waters is our person, the escrow officer that usually works with us. Once you start closing more properties and all, they get to know you. And that's another thing. Treat them nice and maybe give them a couple gift cards or thank you letters, or, you know, treat them nice and give value to them, and then they'll take care of you.
Sometimes just being nice to people, because you would be surprised how many people are like cranky with people when they call, so they remember the ones that are nice to them.
We really
Just in
talk.
general.
We really talk to the lady that does the escrow officer in Tampa, and she's told us that there's been some investors who have been like holier than thou attitude and give them a hard time, where they all like draw straws, like I don't want the short straw, I don't want to have to do that closing. So, and then the lady there, she always grabs our folder and does ours automatically. So this is
And this did come into play a little bit. we were trying to close, and that was like when we were headed out of country, and so I had to get the paperwork done before we were leaving. So all the paperwork had to be done. His attorney found one like little small thing that wasn't on the right place on the HUD. And then like they sent the message literally as we were, boarding the plane from Boston to head to Iceland. So it's like, it was like a flurry of emails, and, that was something that, could have held that up if I would have had to redo a signature or redo something. But since the title company was familiar with us and everything was, except that one little thing, she managed to figure out how to do that without us having to, run to the UPS or the post office to try to get something overnighted.
Well, we're in the middle of customs, right?
And so I'm unsure how we were gonna do that, but and that was important because we had to close it. That would have cost us $2,500 easy, because even though it wasn't our fault, we wouldn't have closed on time, and
He
that
could have
would've-
pulled the
He
contract,
could have pulled the contract and said,
and then we would have lost out on the opportunity for working with him in the future. So this is, you see the, line by line, it's got the credits and the debits and the prices. I mean, it's with the title, all the title companies, they have these fees, a bunch of fees associated with everything. Search and exam fees, e-recording fee,
And that's
the
something,
title insurance.
that's something to keep an eye on as well. And you see how minimal the title insurance actually costs to sleep well
75.
at night.
Or 150, and he paid half and we paid half, so it's $150 extra to get that title insurance. To me, it's well worth it. We've talked to so many investors who just say, oh, that's not important, I'm saving money, but saving $150 when having the title insurance could save you hundreds of thousands. And then recording fees and all, and
that's something to keep an eye on too. Just, sometimes you get lackadaisical with the fees keep going up. So, if you work with a company and over, you can just say, hey, can you cut down the fees on that? That, a lot of those fees, they can give you a discount, or the more you close, you get a discount.
so that's the warranty deed and legal description and all that.
And I don't know if we have a slide on it, but something very, 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 very important to know, like the day of closing, you have to have that insurance in place. So we typically have that all lined up. We do use NREG because they're all over the country, but basically, we've already put in it, the week before. And the expected close date, I usually do a day before, just in case, you close early or something happens, but, just have that in so that you have insurance as soon as you sign the line and you get the keys, because you don't want, something crazy to happen, like it catch on fire and then, it's not his problem and you didn't have insurance, and then you're out the house. That's not a good thing.
Am I sharing? Oh, share screen again. I'll go back to the PowerPoint. There we go. Oops.
Whoops. Okay, we did that.
You already talked about the insurance. And we typically use NREG. Can you guys see the screen?
Not yet.
Oh, shoot. I'm so sorry. We need Carlin.
Yeah.
I cannot get back to it. Sorry, guys. Okay. Share screen.
There it is.
Okay, there we go. You can see it. Okay. And you already went through this.
Yeah,
one.
I mean, we typically use them. I think in the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to have a really good insurance guy come on. But basically, it's you shop around your insurance. Rates in Florida getting crazy. NREG starting to not cover things that they used to, like mobile homes. There's high rates here, so sometimes you can shop around and get different prices. So that's one thing you always want to kind of look around and make sure if you can find somebody. And that's something in this group that, like, we can share different insurance agents, or things that will help all of us out.
Yeah, like we use NRIG, they're not the end all be all, they're just easy, they're all over the nation, and you can just go online and just grab the insurance pretty quickly. And stay tuned for stage 1 of the rehab, money lender follies and draws. I actually did a little bit about draws this week, but we can go further into them. And just wanted to give you some encouragement from Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki. The best investment you can make is the investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you earn. And real estate investing, even on a very small scale, remains a tried and true means of building an individual's cash flow and wealth. They were good quotes and meaningful.
Learners are earners.
Mhm.
And there's a virtual brought to you by the Virtual REI Academy. There's our email, and I'll stop sharing the screen so we can field questions or bring up any projects you guys are working on, or have any questions or concerns, or give us some ideas on things. We have something in the chat. Oh, thank you, Carla.
Anybody have any questions?
Or any
I
projects
have-
you're working on? Oh, go
I
ahead,
have a
Nicole.
question. So, I know that you rehab and retail some, and you rehab and keep some as rentals.
Yes.
Do you rehab them to different standards? If you got 2 scopes of work, how do you handle if you're going to use different exits?
We actually try to make that decision prior to, but then we always want those exit strategies as well. So this one we knew was going to be a retail. With Javier, it's a little bit different because he his level is pretty good. But I mean, we have somebody here in Florida that we tried to do a retail flip. Well, we ended up doing the retail flip, but he's really just a rent guy. Like he wasn't getting the attention to detail, and he wasn't. So even though the pricing was there for him to do a retail flip, he he ended up having to paint like 4 times because it just wasn't to the standard, so I think you also have to know your contractor and what they can do. Javier is going to do a really good job anyway, but it would just be, maybe it just wouldn't be all the bells and whistles, or that one we might not have
Added the extra bedroom.
yeah,
or-
maybe not added the extra bedroom, or it's just different things that it would be base by base, but our numbers are still so good that, we'll be all in for less than 90, probably around 85 or whatever. But, we could still get 1,100 rent, or, a little bit higher, 1,200 if we wanted to push the envelope. So the numbers are still good for rent or retail. But this one just made a little bit better. So we try to make that decision ahead of time, but we always have our exit strategies just in case.
And that is a good point. Like if we do a rent, we might not get our premier painter that does the really neat trim and paint. Might get the lower end painter for the rental, because like Nicole said, on average, people leave in a year, and then what do you have to do? Go back in there and patch up and paint again. So I'm not going to spend the extra money on the higher end, better quality painter when it's going to be a rental. But I tell you, we do still put the waterproof luxury vinyl floors in for rentals, because it's just protecting your flooring and your subflooring. So we do, sometimes it isn't a bad idea to add a little extra quality for the rentals. And then, if you do make it a little nicer, then like Nicole was saying, that she has average of people staying in her rentals 3 to 4 years when the national average is a year. So that could make a difference too. I was listening to somebody else speak at, I think it was at the Baltimore REIA. She does a lot of Section 8 rentals, and she actually has the family come into the house as she's rehabbing it and let them pick out some of the, like the paint colors, or if she has different types of lighting or of fixtures, she kind of lets them be part of the process with the finishing. And then it solidifies the house is theirs, and then they stay longer. So that is a good point about, doing a little extra bells and whistles for the renters to keep them in longer.
And
What
just
do
like
you,
some,
what do you do different in like your rehabbing your bathrooms and kitchens and stuff? What would be the differences?
The backsplash in maybe putting the quartz countertop instead of, like if it was going to be a market flip, we would use the quartz countertops instead of the granite, or maybe the higher end granite instead of the lower grade of granite.
maybe the tubs, we just would reglaze it or something instead of putting in a new one, or
And
kind of touching things up instead of putting in new. And like an air conditioner, if it's kind of okay, we might, if it's a retail, we'll probably put a new one in and just put the bells and whistles on. If it's not, we'll just kind of, get the guy out there to clean it up and fix it up and keep it running with that in mind, that we got to put reserves, for however long that's going to last, if it's a rental.
By any chance, have you taken any office space and converted it into apartment space or residential space?
No,
we have not.
Nope.
Have you done that?
I have not. I'm brand new to all of this. I'm not even sure I'm going to get into real estate. I'm getting old enough that I don't really have a long-term horizon, but I am looking at like, I might help my daughter and her boyfriend find a house like in Ithaca, New York, that type of thing. That's really
wow.
where my current focus is. And I was actually going to ask you if you do any New York State investing. What do you think about that?
We have not
yet.
delved into New York because they have different tax brackets in different areas, and their taxes is pretty high, and they have some pretty strong rules and regulations associated. We have a friend who lives in Buffalo, and she does some investing there, and you really have to be there and know the market, and it's like a kind of a niche thing where you have to be in the in and know the people that are in charge of the permits and the inspectors and all. It's
Oh,
Carlin, any thoughts on New York?
I mean, I'm in Connecticut. It's similar. As far as rentals go, it's just really tenant friendly. It's just more challenging just overall. If you have the stomach for it, look in more of the, I hate to say it, but like red states where it's less regulated, in my opinion. Same thing with the permits, like New Jersey. When we were doing some flips there, it was a lot more difficult than Connecticut, at least with the permitting and inspections. So I guess depending on where you are in New York, you might be able to find some more rural areas. Like my brother's up in just outside of Ithaca, he's in Lansing. I think there's some more opportunities out there than there would be in like the bigger cities. So you really have to kind of look market to market.
I was looking at.
You can invest anywhere, really, right? I mean,
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
rule it out. You should be close and boots on the ground too to learn.
exactly. I have a team here.
Thank you. I was just looking at something up there, and it struck me they had 11% closing costs, which I think are like crazy. And I'm kind of going like, what kind of area is this? So, thank you.
Of course. Good luck with that. And if you have any other questions, please, and as you get through and looking at houses, stop on by, and well, hopefully we were able to help you out, help answer your questions.
There's 2 or 3 questions in the chat, Jane and Sharon.
Okay, let me grab the chat.
So one of them is, I'm commuting right now, but listening to all these great nuggets. Thank you. When you close on a property, do you use an LLC for each property or a couple of properties in one LLC?
How? Oh,
Yeah, I think it's a matter of it's we're not accountants and all that, so some of it's based on what your accountant tells you or what you feel like. We typically use a land trust to close on our properties. And then, depending on some of them, we do have in LLCs, we would put a couple in them. Again, legally, and you want to just touch base with our accountant and legal team is in one office, so we kind of go back and forth depending on the state you're in or what you're kind of doing. But we typically close in a land trust.
Yeah, and if we, close in a land trust and have several houses in one LLC in the land trust, it would be in that particular state. We wouldn't have houses from several different states in one LLC. It would have to be in the same state.
And Nicole could probably speak to that a little bit.
And probably like the ARVs would have to be similar with the houses.
Yeah, you don't want to have $1 million house in with a $50,000 house, and then something happens at the $50,000 house where they sue you and take your $1 million house. It makes sense.
Do you have any input, Nicole?
So,
Yeah.
so in a land trust, you have a trustee and a beneficiary. So in all the things that I do, the beneficiary of the land trust is always an LLC, always. Because what land trusts do is offer privacy. They don't offer asset protection. So everybody handles LLCs differently. In our residential portfolio, we'll have up to 20, 25 houses in an LLC, but I also have the assets so that makes sense, right? So you have to
Okay,
decide how much risk you want. So, when you're starting out, it's probably not more than 2 or 3 million in an LLC, I would guess. And our commercial properties, they're almost all one property to one LLC. So if you can have the same LLC as a beneficiary, but every land trust for the property can be different, right?
Makes sense.
Is that what you were, and I would agree, the LLCs, it makes it a whole lot easier if you have all of the properties in one state in that LLC, because otherwise you are filing in more than one state, and it gets kind of crazy with K-1s and taxes for how you split that up.
Right.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, so iPhone 6 had a question, but I can't see what the question is.
So I think what he's asking, it's Charles is his name. He's asking for suggestions. He just bought, I don't know if it's a duplex or a fourplex in Baltimore. And he's asking for maybe some suggestions on wanting to buy another one in the next years. And he says, I'm also at a 6% interest rate, if that helps.
that's
So
good.
it's a duplex. Okay.
That's duplex interest. Okay, 6%.
Is this is that 6% a fixed rate, or is it an ARM? Fixed rate, I can see your face. If it's fixed rate, nod. If
No,
it's
it's
an
fixed.
ARM,
He typed fixed.
Fixed. He's got
Okay.
fixed.
so that's pretty good then. It's until interest rates come back down, I wouldn't want to be refinancing out and getting another loan. Right now, residential interest rates are higher, 7.5%, 8%, 8.5%, depending on the lending institution. So I think the play right now for buying more is one of the strategies that James and Sharon and Jane talked about, that are, kind of, you're taking control. You're not actually buying, you're taking control of it. And so you get all of the benefits and leave the existing financing in place, if it makes sense. That answer that, Mike? Good.
Chris,
Jane
when
and
you wanna-
Sharon, back over to you guys. I didn't mean to
Mhm.
interrupt.
No, I was letting you handle that one.
I'm glad you handled it. I appreciate that. And I would just also, if you're new and that's like one of your first purchases, make sure that you have it, running really well, and you have, your property manager is good and continues to be good, and maintain that one for a while to make sure that's running smoothly before you delve into another one would be my advice.
What you may also want to do is just go to the website virtualreiacademy.com, and as you scroll down, it'll give you a bunch of different strategies that you can use, because maybe you decide, you know, something, I don't want to just pay with a bank loan, maybe I want to do a subject to or something like that, and it's got brief descriptions of each strategy in there. And then you can decide, wow, that's a good strategy, I want to find out more about that. There's also at the top, I think it says resources, and then there's non-members and members, but even in the non-members part, there's a bunch of information on there for you that you might find valuable as well. Sure.
Great point, James. Great point. At the very beginning, we bought too many rentals too fast when we were a beginner, and then our property manager failed us, and we didn't probably have enough reserves in place for all the properties, and just we ran it too quickly. And looking back, we should have slowed down, and it worked out okay. It, you know, it shook out okay, but if we talk about that a lot, that we should have slowed up and not have bought so many so quickly. We should have stabilized each house and property and got it running smoothly, and then went to the next one.
It's like build the foundation of the house and then go up, as opposed to walls up and windows and all that stuff like we did. So we were really good at finding properties. So property managers, not so much.
It's, you know, we've learned through the years the importance of interviewing and asking the right questions and doing due diligence when hiring your team and having backups. And unfortunately, when you're a beginner and you're new, people do take advantage of you, and they can tell. So, but that's why it's good to be involved in like the academy, or, you know, this platform, because we're all here to help each other. We're not, you know, we're all transparent, and we're loyal and honest, and give you the right answers. And we want to see everybody succeed, and we want to all work together and come together to make things happen and create that legacy.
Anybody else, any questions?
Was there any other questions in the chat, James, that, or Nicole, that we missed?
Now see one. I did have a question though. So, like always, right? So, on the PowerPoint that you had in the beginning when we were talking about Javi and his scope of work, maybe I read it wrong, but it looked like it said like the scope of work started, I don't know, like September 2nd, and then the first draw was September 2nd or October 2nd. Do you give an initial draw beforehand, or do you leave it up to the contractor to cover the initial expenses and then you repay them as you go? Or does it depend on the contractor?
It does depend on the contractor, and he had it broken up weekly, and he knew that he had to get an electrician in first to check out the electric and to do their part. And when you have the subs, they want to get paid right away. So we knew that that was the first line item for him to get in there and get the plumber and the contractor in there to tighten up the plumbing and electrical work. So that was why we agreed to, you know, because we don't usually pay up front. We have them get some work done before we pay. And we do look for contractors who've had time on, who's done flips, and that have money in the bank. The new contractors, you know, they don't always have money in the bank, and they're relying on the first draw before they even get started and can buy materials. It's one good thing about Javier. He does have that warehouse full of materials that he's able to get at cost. So he does things the smart way. But that is a good point, especially starting out. You don't want to be taken advantage of. A contractor will take your money and run if, you know, you pay them up front. So it's, you know, if they do need money for the materials, you might consider purchasing the materials and have them sent to the job site instead of giving them money and, you know, cash in hand, so they can run off with the money. So that's a great point, James.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not their like we find most of the time it's because they have another job and they're short on something here, and they're like trying to do all these other jobs, and they end up, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So they're taking your money to do somebody else's work, counting on, the next draw from somebody else. But then if that person doesn't pay, it's you that pays the price because you've already given them money. They didn't get the money from the other guy, and then your rehab is the one that's sitting. And we ran into that early on. Like that was one of the things we were pretty good with the contractors, but still, like you hear the sob story or, hey, I need to pay my guys, or it's Christmas time and I need to pay my guys or whatever. But still you have to make sure that, the money is going to your job and not some other job they're trying to finish up. And that's typically, I don't think most contractors they're just out there hustling and they don't do their paperwork right. They don't get the contracts right. They get taken advantage also. And then at the end of the day, they're trying to finish all the jobs and just get the money where it needs to go, or that they didn't account for something that they didn't put in the scope of work.
That is a good point. There's many stories that you hear about the contractors taking advantage of the investors. You see the stories going the opposite way, where they'll have them start a job and then they won't pay them their draws or pay them on time or have to make them jump through hoops to get their money, or that something's not on the scope of work and the fine print that the investor will put something in there where, oh yeah, this was included. Now you have to pay for that. And then the contractor gets stuck paying for things out of pocket. Like the story I was telling you about with the switch plates. It was a couple investors that I knew that would put in small print that all the switch plates were to be included. And I know it's a small item, but they do add up. If it's a large house and you have to put all the switch plates in the house, that adds up, and that's coming out of the contractor's pockets. So then the contractors get even smarter. So they make sure line by line, they add everything that's needed, all the materials, because it's a two-way street. Like I said, if you have respect for each other and take care of each other and work together, then you have a Javier who will send you great deals. Like this flip we're doing now. This is just one of many that we've worked with him.
And we might try to get him. We might actually try to get Javi to come on here, just because, like, from his standpoint and how he looks at things, because it's totally different. So that might be something we try to do, just to hear from a contractor that, how they look at things and how the stories that have happened to them. He's a busy guy, so maybe he can.
We'll
He
see.
can come out.
So everybody's heard the old saying that failing to plan is actually planning to fail. And in terms of rehab, your plan is your scope of work. And so it really does need to be, it's the contract with the contractor, the scope of work and the draw schedule. All of that really needs to be tight. Because that's how you can manage these repositionings and rehabs and have them come in on time and on budget and having the things done. At least, that was one of the main lessons I learned over the years when I was doing a lot of rehabs, is that the scope of work was really essential to being successful. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, because we didn't show you the last page. The last page, we have all the stipulations and, the references and, what, the draw, that's all.
Do you do this? Do you
encompassing.
do SKUs? Do you have certain SKUs that you use all the time that you put in?
Yes, we do have, like toward the last page, like I was telling you, we do charge them $50 a day past, that if, past their end date. After we do give them a 2 to 3 week grace period, and make sure that they, gosh, I'm having.
You're talking about SKUs for, like, paint and different stuff. What we typically use, like agreeable gray and
Yeah,
with the good
yeah.
stuff, like
I'm sorry, I thought you meant just like items that we always have on the scope. We do, and they do evolve and change as
Yeah, like we had Nico on here, and he basically, he's in California, so the painter that, like we see the trends that are coming, a little bit different that, then they make their way to Indiana and then I guess they make their way to Maryland
The
and
East Coast.
Florida, East Coast stuff. So we try to stay ahead of the trends, but, and then I try to not like think about what I like because I don't really like the brown schemes. So there for a while, that Gobi beige stuff that we were using, that just drove me crazy because I didn't like it. But like I like agreeable gray, but I guess the whites are coming back and some
Like
of
the
cl-
antique
clean
colors and
antique colors. And
people want, they perceive it as clean and bright. And we do try to keep up with the trends, like Jane said, and and we do change of adjustment. At the beginning, when we were first flipping, we were using like she said, Gobi beige and then all the beiges and brown scales. And then we went to the agreeable grays and the grays and the lighter colors. And now we're doing, it's popular to have like a blend of the grays and the beiges together.
which really drive me crazy.
Because there's popular where you have like the light beige brown floor, the LTV floor, and then the like a off gray color light walls. And you kind of do the two neutral colors together. The cold and the warm colors are popular together. And so we do try to keep up with the trends.
So with
Yeah,
our
just
with our
go ahead.
apartments, we almost always have, we're going to use this lighting package, we're going to use
Right.
this color, we're going to use this stove, we're going to use this countertop, we're going to use these cabinets. And so it's standardized across a building. And so we will have specific SKUs that we tell the contractors to use. And so that was kind of the question I was asking. Do you use the same thing again and again, or is it different for each property?
We do try to make it easy and use the same types of SKUs with, especially with the cabinets and the fixtures and the bathrooms and kitchens. We try to keep that pretty tight.
Hey, Charles and Vilma, I don't know if I can share this with you guys, but Charles, you're looking at how to do more multifamily. So there's a couple of courses here on multifamily starting out that Nicole actually teaches. And then I guess we've all been talking about, I hate this little thing on Zoom. We've all been talking about managing property managers, or if you want to manage properties yourself. And then Vilma, I know you asked about land trusts and stuff like that. This one's taught by Nicole as well. And then an attorney friend of ours also teaches that. I'm a little bit biased. I like Nicole's better, but you watch whichever one you want. But they're available for you there as well. So maybe that'll help you guys out a little bit.
Thank you, James. That was great. There are so many, I think it's like you're right, it was over 50 different courses on there, and we're adding to it. We're constantly adding to it. So it's a lot of content.
Absolutely.
A lot of good information in one place.
Any other
Yes, any
questions?
Yeah, I got a quick question, guys. You mentioned that you're really good at deal finding. Where are you finding your deals, and just anything around that?
The HUD home store is always our good one. It's dried up a little bit. I think residential is going to be a little bit harder. We're starting some mailing campaigns, and driving for dollars is always like anytime we can drive someplace. That's how sometimes we find things in other states, is just driving for dollars, and then we skip trace them and send out letters. But however you can find them, wholesalers are on every list known to mankind. They don't have the greatest deals, but I suspect they will be getting them. Hudson and Marshall's another one. That's an auction house. You don't actually need an agent for that. You can just bid. Kind of right after COVID and up until here recently, they had not many properties on there. They still want too much and they're still too high, but now there's like 8, 9, 10 pages during the week of houses, so bank owned and different things. So, and if you're willing to take on like problems with Hudson and Marshall, a lot of them are occupied. If you're willing to kind of, how in your state to deal with the occupied houses and get them out, and you account for that in your budget, that's a good way to pick things up, because most investors don't want to deal with the occupied house.
That's where we've gotten a lot of our really good rock bottom prices with houses that were occupied, especially through COVID, because it was very difficult to get them out. So we were able to get some good deals there, and just going to different meetings and talking to people and telling people what you're looking for. We go to this meeting, in Sarasota on Friday mornings. And we went to a Wednesday meeting, a regular RIA meeting, and there was a lot of people from the Friday morning call there. And they said, oh, we want to talk to you Friday morning. We might have some deals for you. And then we went into the Friday morning call, and we picked up 2 properties that they're going to finance for us, just because they knew what areas that we like to invest in. It's 2 of our areas that we invest. Just, talking to people and telling them what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Somebody else have something?
Okay. Guess that'll do it this week. Next week, actually Nicole's gonna take over and be gracious enough to talk to for us next week, and she's gonna be talking about the turnkey. Investing in turnkey houses, buying and investing.
We
in
actually
turnkey
have to go out trick or treating now. I'm kidding.
We want pictures.
I suspect you're doing your own kind of trick or treating,
houses.
and they aren't going to want to send pictures.
Trick or treating for houses.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's actually a good way when you're taking the kids around to trick or treat. That's where you see the vacant houses. So
Stress houses, vacant houses, houses with problems, roof problems.
all right, guys, we appreciate everybody taking time out of your day to be here. And if you have any ideas or suggestions for what we can do on these Teaching Tuesdays, go ahead and hit us up on the email, or just if you want to talk, you're in the beginning stages and you just want some advice. Always happy to take time out of our day if you email us.
All right, you guys.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thanks.
All right, bye,
Nice
everybody.
job, Sharon and
Thanks.
Jane.
Thank you, Nicole.
See you guys.
Bye.